In the article, The Effects of Endurance, Strength, and Power Training in Muscle Fiber Type Shifting by Wilson, written in 2012, I found that the main purpose of the study was to analyze the contribution of training to muscle fiber type expression. After reading this article, I concluded that there are different types of muscle fibers in each athlete. Quote, studies have indicated that athletes in sports requiring the greatest aerobic and endurance capacities have slow twitch fiber types percentages as high as 90 to 95%, whereas athletes in sports requiring greater anaerobic capacities, such as strength and power activities, which for example would be weightlifting and sprinting, have fast twitch fiber types ranging from 60% to 80%, end quote, Wilson. When looking into the different types of fibers, they can range from being considered type 1, type 2X, type 2A, and there are others. There are different studies done underneath the broader text of this experiment. One that was done mentioned that the effects from exercise on fiber type plasticity and human skeletal muscle shows no change in percentage in fiber makeup. When looking at muscle fibers, another showed that resistance training decreased type 1 fibers, but ended up increasing 2X fibers. Training different types of fibers may be increased dependent on the activity that is at hand. As Bjornsson states, that 6 weeks of high-intensity sprint training has led to decreased type 1 muscle fibers, but led to increased type 2 muscle fibers. Another part of muscle fibers is the process of shifting the fibers. Quote, several studies reviewed had indicated that exercise-induced muscle fiber shifting only exists between fast twitch fiber types, Wilson. I have been a soccer player almost my entire life, probably about 18 years now, and having played at the collegiate level for the last 3 years, it has given me a lot of insight into which muscle fiber types that I'm using. In the game of soccer, there is a combination of both muscle fiber types that are used because the game can be very fast at times, but other times very slow. When I'm sprinting during the sport, I'm using fast twitch muscle fibers. And when I'm using more endurance and not going as fast, I'm using slow twitch muscle fibers. Throughout the game, it can switch back and forth constantly depending on how the game is going. This can tie into different types of positions in soccer. As a defender, it can depend on the game to determine how much running you will have to do in total, which then can affect the muscle fiber types that you are indeed using. This can be the case for a lot of different athletes in sports. Quote, in the athletic population, long and middle distance runners had 60 to 70% slow twitch fibers, whereas sprinters demonstrated an 80% fast twitch fiber makeup, Wilson. A lot of times, when playing on the outside of the field, whether you're a defender, a midfielder, or a forward, a lot of sprints are required up and down the field, which would classify as fast twitch fibers moving throughout the body. When the game slows down, endurance is built up, no matter what position you play, which can lead to more slow twitch fibers being present. This means that depending on where you play on the soccer field can indicate how much fibers and which types of fibers you are using overall, whether it's type 1 or type 2. I have experienced the change between muscle fibers depending on which physical activity I'm doing. Each day, as a collegiate athlete, a lot of our days on the soccer team is met with slow twitch fiber types due to greater aerobic and endurance activities. However, they can easily switch to fast twitch fiber types if we were doing sprints, whether that's on the soccer field or when we're doing conditioning in the weight room, or if we were doing weightlifting, which occurs throughout the entire season, both fall and spring. It really can all depend on the activity throughout, but each year it is common for our muscle fibers to change depending on the activity. Overall, this article has given me a lot of insight into which types of muscle fibers I'm doing and using because I wasn't aware of any of the muscle fiber types I had when I first started college, and especially going into my senior year this upcoming, I'll definitely be more aware of the fiber types that I'm using. due to having more knowledge of it and being able to understand what they mean and represent based on what activities I am doing, whether that's weightlifting, whether that's conditioning, whether that's playing on the outside of the field and doing a bunch of sprints, or just playing in a slow-paced game. So it really can all depend on the activity, but overall, finding the purpose of this article, with that being the contribution of training and how muscle fibers can affect each activity, has given me a lot more insight, and it's very interesting to hear as a soccer player.